And welcome to the Technology Geek podcast. My name is Brandon, the Technology Geek, and we are here as we are every week to talk computers, the internet, security, ham, radio, and pretty much anything I feel like talking about on the Technology Geek because it is my show. I've often said many times we should have named it the Brandon Show. But we mostly talk tech, computers, all that kind of stuff on this show. As always, you can find out about all of our shows, information on the technologygeek.org, as well as our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and as well on our Twitter at KB3YUA. So we always have a lot to talk about here in the Technology Geek. But first of all, folks, I do want to remind all of you that, of course, the live stream is, as always, up on our YouTube channel, and that's a live audio stream, and you can listen to the live audio stream every time we do this. And if you don't, it's available in podcast format on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, on our website, obviously thetechnologygeek.org, all that. So there's many of different ways to listen to us, and like I said, we always do the live audio stream as well every week. So much going on in tech, as you know, as there always is. Obviously, we say about that every week, but I want to shoot the breeze with you guys here for a little bit, talking about, I guess, a lot of people talking about the mountains last week, and as you guys know, we live up in the mountains of PA up here, and they were talking to me the other day about how's the weather. Somebody asked me about the weather and how cold it's been and all that, and I got to tell you, the other day I was getting ready to leave the house to go take care of some things, and I look outside and it was snowing, and the weather guy literally 2 minutes later said there's no snow in the forecast, and there was some snow. So around here in the mountains of Pennsylvania, you can always guarantee the weather is going to change pretty much on a dime around here, but we deal with it. Like I said, I grew up here in the mountains of Pennsylvania, so I'm pretty well used to it. But it does make for some interesting it does make for interesting travel at times, let's put it that way. So a lot of you guys I know are thinking to myself, well, why the heck is he, I know a couple people in the chat room are like, why is he doing a live show Friday afternoon? This never, ever happens. Well, the truth is, I had some time today. It took a little break today from running the computer business and running around. I had to take care of some business with some of my rental property that I have, and as well I have a yoga. As you guys know, I also am a fitness instructor, so I have a yoga class to do in a little while here and all that. So I figured, let me turn the microphone. I have some time. Let me get this podcast out of it, because I really do like doing this. This is a great outlet, and I really enjoy doing it. I got a lot of wonderful listeners. All you guys have been awesome. But yes, that's why we normally do not do live shows in the middle of a Friday afternoon. We usually do them Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday night. But this week you're getting it Friday afternoon, because that's when I can turn the microphone on. We got a lot of stuff going on this weekend, family stuff. So I didn't want to gyp you guys on a show. So speaking of podcasting and live audio, Art Bell, a lot of updates on his website, a lot of updates on his Facebook page. A lot of you guys remember him. He came back to the airwaves about maybe 2 years in July, actually. He came back to the airwaves for a little while on Sirius XM. Obviously, they had some differences of opinion, and now he's not there anymore. But what is kind of interesting about that is that he is actually coming back to the airwaves, and I guess he's had some holdups. Now, Art Bell is, he's been in the radio business probably longer than most of us have even been alive. He's been on the air. I believe he was on the air for, I don't even remember, I don't even have a date for you, but I know he's been on the air since the 70s, and I think earlier than that, because he was, I think during Vietnam, I think he had his own radio show. So he's been on the air a long time. Well, he's trying to come back to the airwaves now. And apparently he wants to do it. He wants to do, a live stream like we do, and as well as a podcast format. Well, he's going to charge you for the podcast, because that's, he's got to make some money somehow. But the live stream is going to be free, which is the exact same thing Coast to Coast AM does. Well, apparently he wants to go ahead and get bumper music. Now, those of you that don't know what bumper music is, it's the music that gets played in between when you go to commercial and when you come back. For those of you that don't know what bumper music was. Well, apparently he found out that there's going to be a huge royalty rights issue with the music. Now, for those of you who don't know, when you play music on any type of podcast or radio show, you have to pay royalty rights to that artist. That's the way the music industry works, which is perfectly fine. But the problem with that being is obviously the more listeners you have, the more you pay in royalties. Now, when you work for a radio station or anything like that, they're part of this group that pays royalties, and you sign on and you pay money towards that group, and that group pays the royalty rights. In Art Bell's case, however, he's an independent podcaster, so he would have to pay all the royalty rights, and he said, well, we're not doing that. He originally thought about canceling doing the podcast, but I guess because so many people like myself, huge fans of his over the years, he's actually looking at possibly now joining, I guess, some kind of podcast group. I'm not sure if it's Podcast One or if it's Corolla's group or whoever. He hasn't said any names. I'm just spewing a few off the top of my head, but he had said he's going to go ahead and join a group, a podcast group, and apparently he's going to actually have a 3 hour, I think 3 or 4 hours a night. He's going to do 4 nights a week. So it's going to be like a radio show, long form talk radio. Which, if you knew Art Bell, he always loved long talk radio. But it's going to be like a 3 or 4 hours. It's going to have bumper music and all that kind of stuff. So he's working on that right now, and that's you can find out more information about it at artbell.com. But that was in the news this week, and he's really been struggling with this, and a lot of people say, well, don't do bumper music. Well, if you knew Art Bell, you would know that his bumper music and all that is a big part of his show and who he is. So, like I said, he's been dealing with that, and I'm sure he's going to make a comeback here. It's just going to take some time for him to actually get back on the, get back in the groove and get people on board, some of that. I mean, he's got a huge following. I'm sure he'll be back, but he's been struggling with this whole bumper music thing. But I think he's got it all taken care of now. So I'm sure he's going to be making a comeback rather soon. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure I'll be a subscriber. I think it's going to cost $5 a month or whatever for the podcast format. But again, I think it's worth it. He's a wonderful talent. And speaking of podcasting and radio, the other day, I don't listen to Howard Stern, but I am a fan of the Opie and Anthony show. They have a podcast, and it's really, really great. They actually have a huge following. Anthony Cumia, like I said, as I told you last week, is actually doing a live from the Compound Network. He's getting some studio space in New York, and he's just really on a roll with this. He's really got a great thing going on. But apparently, Howard Stern, somebody asked him about what he thought about podcasts. And I'm not going to play the audio here because we don't have rights to play Howard Stern audio on the show. But in a nutshell, he pretty much said in a nutshell that he thinks podcasting is really stupid, and that if anybody really wants to be a broadcaster, they have to be on radio or on Sirius XM like he is, and that he doesn't consider podcasts entertainment. He doesn't consider, he thinks that it's a waste of time, that nobody listens and all types of stuff. And I can tell you, folks, I run our numbers. I look at our numbers probably every week, and I mean, it's not a waste of time. A lot of you guys listen, but he said what you need to do if you want to be big in broadcast like he is, you have to start at a small radio company and work your way up. I don't believe that's true anymore. I think Howard's entitled to his opinion. I mean, we all know that obviously he has a reputation for, the way he handles himself. But I thought it was a little rude. Thought it was a little bit not us for most part. Like I said, this really isn't this isn't a form of income. It's just fun. Any money we make always just keeps the site up and running, pays for bandwidth and stuff. But for those guys like Anthony Cumia or Corolla or any of those guys that are doing this professionally, I thought that was a real smack in the face, especially to Corolla, and Cumia, obviously. Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's got a great show. Jay Moore, all those guys that really, just to name a few of them. I mean, there's tons of them. Rogan, all those guys that really made a run at this podcast thing and really helped put it on the map. Who else am I missing that I listen to? Well, obviously Leo Laporte. All those guys that really worked hard to really make this media a really great success. He kind of just pretty much spit in their faces. All those guys aren't making, 250 million, for a couple of years on Sirius XM, so he was kind of a little mean, kind of disrespectful, but that's the way Howard Stern, you got to take at face value. But I definitely don't believe that. I believe that this definitely is definitely the future of talk radio, is podcasting. And I think that, he was rude and all that, but that's Howard Stern. I mean, I used to listen to him way back when, but I haven't since he went on Sirius. But he had that to say as well. But again, I think podcasting is definitely the future. But Art Bell, like I said, coming back as well. You get a lot of big names now in podcasting. Over the last couple of years, so some interesting things, folks, that are going on right now. Just to name a few things, I had somebody send me an email with a question the other day, talking to me about how they heard that I was doing that I was going to be doing some gardening here on our property, and come springtime, and how I wanted to grow my own fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. And somebody had made a comment about starting their own business, and how they wanted to get going, and how they wanted to start growing their own fruits and vegetables and start selling vegetables and fruits and all these different places. And I got to tell you, I'm all for gardening now. Now we're doing gardening just for ourselves to kind of save some money, and just for a little fun summer project. I'm an outdoorsman, so I really like being outdoors. But for those of you guys that, if you're thinking about starting any type of business where you're going to be selling food, and I only know this because my family they were in the restaurant business my parents were in the restaurant business, I think 20 years almost. If you're going to be doing anything, we're going to be selling food, you need to be incorporated, and you definitely have to have some kind of insurance. I know, I know, people say all the time, well, I just go to farms to get my food, get my eggs and my milk. And, we do that here. I'm in the mountains, so I go down my road and I can go 2 or 3 miles each way and get to a farm. But, if you're going to be doing anything like that, you're going to be selling stuff, especially if you're going to be canning it and selling it, you really got to be careful. You can really open yourself up to a lawsuit or something if somebody gets sick. I'm just telling you that for your own safety. This person, I'm not going to say who it is, but this person sent me, that they're trying to start their own little business, selling their fruits and their vegetables. They're growing a lot of stuff, and they're going to buy another couple acres, and they want to, start selling food and all. You got to be careful too, folks. It's anytime, we live in a liability world, and if you're selling direct to consumer, that person gets sick or something like that, you can definitely have, some liability issues on your hands. So if you're going to do something like that, I strongly recommend you at least get insurance, if not incorporate. So just so you guys know that. Like I said, we're growing this stuff here just for our own. We're gardening, just kind of for our own little, our own supply here. So if I do something wrong, I get sick. It's not me. But if you're going to be selling stuff to anybody, you should really think about insurance. And that's with any business. Even with my computer business and my yoga business, I always we have insurance and everything, and even my home, even my rentals, all they have insurance. Insurance is a big thing, folks. It protects your personal assets. Very, very important. If you have any additional questions on that, obviously send me an email. You guys know how to get in touch with me on the website. But, again, insurance, incorporation, all that stuff is very important. If you're going to be doing any type of legitimate business, obviously paying sales tax, reporting the stuff to the IRS, all that's very important to stay legitimate. So speaking of the update, I'm giving you guys, weekly updates on the garden. So I was on the one of the podcasts I like, and one of the forums I like, the Survival Podcast. I was actually on there. I was just on there yesterday, and I was on the forums because a lot of those guys have been really awesome on the Survival Podcast about the forums and stuff. And those guys have been really cool, and they've been helping me out. I was looking at when to start planting, and apparently, an area we live in, the last frost of the year is usually May 30th. So any crops that are going to need to be that are going to be get hurt by frost, like fruits, vegetables, all that depend after the 30th. Anything that isn't going to be susceptible to frost, I can plant probably early May, mid-April when it really thaws. But I never knew that. That was something I learned this week. I also learned too, as I've been collecting these pallets to build, because we're going to be building the flower beds out of pallets. I've also found out as well that you have to look at the pallet to make sure that it's actually a pallet that was debarked and doesn't have any chemicals on it, or is it going to contaminate the soil? I found that out this week. That was news to me, so passing that along to you guys in case you guys are doing any kind of gardening over the summer when the weather breaks here, hopefully shortly. And as well, folks, too, one of the other things too I'm thinking about, now we have a well here on our property. We actually have 2 wells. One of the things I'm going to do, I actually did get some huge 50-gallon drums as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going to collect some of the rainwater and use that to try to save work on our well. Now, obviously, we have a drought or something, and I probably have to dip into the well, which is perfectly fine. But I'm going to try to actually go ahead and collect some rainwater here to try to actually offset the use of our well. So that's something else that I've been working on here as well with this whole kind of project that we're running here. doing our little garden here, and we're going to probably do maybe 3 or 4 8-foot beds, and it'll be a really fun project. I'm going to get some stuff up on YouTube and all that once the weather breaks about the process and all types of stuff. I'm keeping you guys informed on the podcast. So something else that I wanted to tell you guys about, kind of an interesting thing. I've been working on, been really crazy, working on moving a customer over from their current environment over to Office 365. So that was kind of a project I've been working on. Geez, probably maybe the last week or two. Maybe I've been working on this, and it was kind of neat. Microsoft has something called Azure, which allows you to sync your local Active Directory with Office 365. Now they're moving their email up there. They're moving their Office up there. They're moving their SharePoint up there, moving everything up there. And one of the things I've been doing was I was helping them move over help them set up their Active Directory sync. What was kind of interesting was apparently Microsoft actually had an Azure outage the other day where people that actually use Office 365 Azure authentication to sync between their local Active Directory and their cloud-based system for Office 365 was actually down. I was messing with this for like an hour or two trying to figure out what was going on. So I said, well, let me call support, because support comes free with Office 365. And call them like, oh yeah, we're having an outage. So that was kind of neat. It's been a pretty interesting project. I really like Office 365. I like it better than Google Docs. I think Google Docs is better I think Google Docs is better in education, but I do believe that Office 365 is better for business. And this particular company is a business, and they're a fairly large company. They have quite a few employees. But one of the things I'm working at is moving their whole system up to Office 365, their SharePoint, their email, their website even is going to all be up there. And moving them over has been quite a lot of fun. But they wanted to sync their Active Directory, and they were kind of struggling with that. So after a little work and a little time spent, I finally figured out what the issue was. But yeah, that was kind of an interesting project that I've been doing. This isn't the first one I've done. This is probably maybe the third or fourth customer I've gotten on Office 365. It really is worth the money. For like $12 a month or whatever. You get all the stuff you need, and I think that's the future. Everything's going to go subscription based eventually. You can't be the price $12 a month to get email, calendar, Exchange, SharePoint, all the full Office package, Link. You just can't beat that for that price. So I'm getting them off Office Communicator, moving them to Link, moving their SharePoint environment up there, moving their email, their Exchange, everything is going up there. Their Office, they're getting rid of the Office they're using now. It's all going up in the cloud up there. But I've been working on that, and Office 365 is really, really neat. Really cool, a lot of fun to work with. And I found out too that, and I didn't know this, but apparently, because most educational facilities have gone with Google Docs, but apparently Microsoft now is giving Office 365 free for education. So if anybody out there is in education, works for education, your IT department can actually get Office 365 for free. I did not know that. So that's something I've been working on. But I guess the news here for Friday, I'm not saying it's the news, but well, first of all, let me go through. First of all, let's talk about my. I've been watching, doing a lot of video streaming on top of reading some books that I've been working on. But I just finished all 10 episodes of Bosch on Amazon Prime, so that was definitely. What a wonderful cop show. All the Bosch books are great, by the way. Michael Connelly just does a phenomenal job with it. But I watched all 10 episodes. It really is really good. I actually hit him up on Twitter. He's a Twitter friend, and I asked him if he had at all, season 2, and they had said they're waiting to hear. So hopefully we are hoping for a season 2 of Bosch. So let's all flood Amazon with requests for another season of Bosch, because I really liked it. I liked old Michael Connelly's work. Wonderful author, fabulous guy. But he did an AMA on Reddit as well talking about Bosch. But yeah, so far I think they've had 100,000 people watch Bosch so far, or watch the entire season. So it actually is a really good show. But I'm really hoping for a season 2. So let's keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully Amazon pulls through for us. If not, maybe Netflix will pick it up. We'll see what happens. So Hemlock Grove, I have to tell you, on Netflix, not a big fan of Hemlock Grove. I'm not going to lie. There's nothing wrong with the show. It's a good show. It's just not my brand. of programming personally. And I was on the internet today looking over some things, and apparently they're going to have one last season of Hemlock Grove. It's going to be season 3, and it's actually going to be the final season. So for those of you that are fairly large fans of Hemlock Grove, Netflix, I am very sorry, the last season is coming up. But for me, I guess now that I'm done with Bosch, I guess now I can, as of this morning, the 3rd season House of Cards is up now. For those of you that are new to the podcast, you would not have known that I am a huge House of Cards fan, and those of you that are listeners always hear me raving about it. Well, the 3rd season is up. All 13 episodes are up, and I'm not going to say any spoilers because I haven't watched a single episode yet, but I am sure I will be binge watching House of Cards over the weekend, or trying to binge watch all of them. We do have a lot of family stuff this weekend, but hopefully I'll sneak some in. Really wonderful show. Love it. And I am actually very much looking forward to it. So that is House of Cards, and that is up there right now on Netflix, and it really is a great show. Netflix and Amazon originals have been really awesome. So another thing too that was that I've been talking to some of my friends about, one of the things that my wife and I did, we upped our internet here to a 60 gig connection down, or 60 gig, I wish, 60 meg down, 3 meg up. But one of the things that we did, we actually canceled HBO because my wife and I were getting kind of sick of paying that. Was it $16-17 a month for HBO? And there's only two shows we really watch on it: Silicon Valley and Game of Thrones. So I don't think we're going to be watching that anytime soon. We actually have decided to dump. That's my phone getting a text message. I'm sorry about that. One of the things we've decided to do was kind of dump HBO because there's only 2 shows we watch on it for $17-18 a month. I mean, we watch more on Netflix and Amazon Prime than we do at all on HBO. So we decided to go ahead and dump it. But one of the things that my wife and I were talking about too is how Bosch was great. And I hate to say this, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody who likes Bosch, but I really think Bosch would have done much better if it was on Netflix. Because I think the show is phenomenal, but I think Netflix has a bigger audience for original series than Amazon does, and I really think the show would have done much better if it was on Netflix. Now, not saying that I don't love it, and that I probably will. I mean, my wife has it just for the shipping for her business, but I would probably keep Amazon Prime. If I didn't have Amazon Prime, I'll say I wouldn't be able to watch it. But I don't. As great as Bosch was. I know a lot of people keep Netflix just for House of Cards and for Orange is the New Black. I don't think Bosch has enough. I think great as a show as it is, I don't think it has that Netflix bite to it that people will keep the service just for that. I think it's kind of an additional thing on top of the free shipping. But that's just my opinion anyway on the whole situation. So before we move on to our news of the news and all that stuff that we always talk about on this program, the tech news of the week. One of the things I do want to say, folks, is we have a new sponsor to add to the growing list of sponsors that we have as part of our members club. Now, those of you are asking, what the heck is a members club? Well, it's the Tech Geek members club. You pay $10 and you will get access to all of the wonderful sponsors that we have, and they are all up on our site, technologygeek.org. Click on members club, and what the members club is, guys, is pretty much a donation from you guys, and you get a ton of great sponsors. And what these sponsors do is they give you discounts and pretty much keep the show on the air, because what happens is we don't really make money on the sales of it. What we do is we make money on them giving you the coupon codes, and then you go use the coupon codes. We don't make any money on the codes. What we do is we make money on the $10 that you donated to us to get the coupon codes, and that's the members club. As well, you get access to the forums, you get free ebooks, you get all that wonderful stuff that comes with it. And we'd appreciate it, folks. Those $10 you guys give us for that, it adds up. And what you do, we get your email, we join you to the mailing list, and every time we get a new sponsor, you get that. So it's $10. It's a one-time deal. $10, and you get all these sponsors that I constantly am getting for you guys for $10. And it's not a recurring fee, it's once, that's it. So it's really good, and then you're part of the club. You're on the mailing list for all the other cool stuff we do as well. And they get discounts actually to Anacon when we go to that Comic-Con, we get discounts to that. We do shows from them. We do live shows from there all the time. You get discounts to other stuff as well. And that is my iPhone ringing. So if you would just hold on for one moment. Okay, so now that we took care of my little iPhone situation and answered the call, just so you guys know, like I said, we give you access to all that kind of all different stuff as well. Not only just the stuff that's up there, but we also give you other discounts, other things we do, live shows and all that. But one of the new sponsor is Iron Edison Battery Company. They're a really wonderful company, and they are actually our newest sponsor. And we have, like I said, we have the link to their site. It's ironedison.com, or you can go to our website and link from it there, which would probably be a little better for you. And what Iron Edison actually is, folks, is they are not only are they a new sponsor, but they are the online leader in nickel iron batteries, solar power, and renewable energy products. And they're providing people with off-the-grid clean energy solutions. And what this is, folks, if you're a ham radio operator, or if you just need batteries to keep your house running, or if you need emergency batteries, anything like that, this is the company to go to. And with our link on our website, under our member club, you would actually get 5% off. And like I said, there's all different types. There's lithium batteries. There's complete off-the-grid systems. They sell cable, wiring, solar panels, inverters, battery racks, and all that wonderful stuff. And that's at Iron Edison. And I will as well mention them, obviously, in my tweet. And there will also, a lot of information will be available about them on the website and all that stuff. But they are, again, ironedison.com, and they are the newest sponsor of the Technology Geek podcast, and we are very much appreciative of that, considering we have a lot of people that listen to the show that are ham radio operators and guys that are first responders. So we do very much appreciate that, and you get 5% off on anything you purchase from them, and we are very grateful to have them as a sponsor on the show. And if you click on the link on our website, you'll get 5% off, as well as they are part of the members club. And again, those members club, that $10 donation that you guys give us will get you access to Iron Edison and a lot of other sponsors that support this show. So we thank you very much for supporting the sponsors, because they do a lot to take care of you. And we do have a lot of great ones, folks. We have our buddies over there at Survival Straps. We have IT Pro TV. Those guys are giving you almost 25% off. It's a good buy. We have all these other different companies that are really great. And again, that's technologygeek.org, and click on the members group and join the club and get all those wonderful discounts. So I guess as far as the news goes, I guess we'll dive right into that segment. A lot of news as always this week, as well as I also have your questions as well. Obviously, one of the things, I don't say obviously, but one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting, I saw it on Slashdot just now before we actually decided to go live with the podcast. Obviously, Facebook putting users on what they do is Twitter is doing as well, but they apparently have we've been talking about this for a while on the podcast, but they apparently now have a suicide prevention thing going on where Facebook, if they see that your Facebook posts are a certain way, or that something is not right, they can actually go ahead and actually put you on like a suicide watch, which I understand they're doing that. I think there's been a lot of uprave on Twitter about it, about how how does Facebook have the nerve to do that. How does Twitter have the nerve? But the truth of the matter is, folks, a lot of young kids that are use Facebook as an outlet for stuff like that really do sometimes need that. So it alerts the authorities, it alerts, I believe, the school as well and stuff like that. But it actually is a really great feature for any young person that unfortunately has a struggle with suicide. It actually does connect them to the suicide hotline and all that type of stuff. So it actually is really important. So we're starting to get, I guess, more information on Microsoft's goals for their new for the new Windows 10. But apparently Microsoft it was in the news this week. They have, I guess they're trying to create a new rendering engine, I guess, from what I'm reading on Slashdot. Microsoft put up a post about explaining what they want to accomplish when they start working on Project Spartan, the new web browser that will ship with Windows 10. So obviously we're getting rid of IE. They say some things wouldn't expect to hear from Microsoft. We need a plan to make it easier for web developers to build compatible sites regardless of which browser they develop first for. They need a plan to ensure that customers have a good experience regardless of whether they browse. And we also need a good plan for enterprise customers. We need backwards compatibility, and we need to push forward HTML5. So Microsoft making a little bit of a change in the way they do things a little bit. But unfortunately, that no matter what they do at Windows 10, fortunately, well, I didn't say unfortunately because I kind of expected it with Microsoft buying out Nokia and some of the things that they've been doing as far as Windows Mobile. They've been forced to actually close some of their factories, and they're actually going to be closing 2 phone factories in China. I'm sure that won't be affecting China's economy too much because they've got quite an arsenal of jobs and a little bit there. But Microsoft, with this big push on Windows 10 and we're trying to get Windows Mobile changed and all types of stuff, they're going to actually be dealing, with closing some factories. And they have to reconsolidate because the truth of the matter is, Microsoft, they purchased Minecraft, they purchased, Nokia, they purchased so many different things. And eventually, and just like when Disney, even when they purchased all those companies, they had to reconsolidate because, you don't need 6 development teams and 6 different studios. So same thing with Microsoft. They don't need, they're trying to pretty much consolidate things to save some money. So it's normal when companies get bought out. So some interesting news as far as Harrison Ford, news that he's actually going to be returning in the Blade Runner sequel. That was obviously in the news, today on Slashdot. And some other news as well, unfortunately, Leonard Nimoy, Spock from Star Trek, obviously passing away. That was some entertainment news as well. He was 83. That's unfortunate too. I think a lot of people were looking forward to him being in that 3rd Star Trek that was slated to come out. So it's unfortunate, but unfortunately he's 83. Did have a fairly long life. So I'm very sorry to all the Star Trek fans out there who were huge Spock fans, and it's unfortunate that he passed away, and we wish his family and all that the best. But so some other news as well, getting to a little bit different topic. Fortunately, I could say that the southern areas of have been really the southern states to my southern states, Pennsylvania, really hit hard with a lot of the weather. And apparently, from what I've read on the ARRL.org, a lot of the companies, a lot of companies and a lot of other places have really opened up their doors to help people down south, especially since they're not used to dealing with some of these temperatures. But apparently the ARRL, the Aries groups and Races group have been doing an incredible job of providing communication in these times of need. These big snowstorms, with the ice and all type of stuff, really causes some down lines, stuff like that, and causes issues with cell phones, stuff like that. And the Aries Races groups have been doing a phenomenal job down there as far as helping people stay up and running with communication. So good for them. That was on ARRL.org, as well as ARRL seeking members for input to draft the NHF ban plan proposal. They're looking to hopefully, us in this country, we get a lot of amateur bands that most countries do not, but those other countries have access to bands that we don't have here. So what the ARRL is trying to do is trying to take those airwaves and propose to the FCC, allowing amateurs to have access to certain airwaves that we've never had before, and they're looking for people to help with that. So something I think that's actually way overdue. We all remember a long time ago when Google actually bought the blogging platform Blogger, but you can have adult blogs and restricted by age restriction. That was one of the things that Google did with Blogger when they took it over. But there's always been an issue with content on Blogger. Well, apparently Google now is actually going to knock explicit. They're going to be taking down a lot of blogs from public view that have adult content on them, and I think it's way overdue. It's something that as of March 23rd, Google will be removing those blogs that don't comply with their anti-adult policies that they have in place. This has been Google allowed images and videos that contain nudity and sexual activity, and apparently now they're going to be censoring them by taking them down. I think it's way overdue, and I think they almost have to, because a lot of schools and young kids and all that type of stuff use the Blogger platform for education and for teaching, and I don't think they want to go ahead and risk being caught by any type of lawsuit or anything like that over having adult content up there. So they're actually going to be going ahead and going through they said they're going to be going through all the blogs on March 23rd, and they're going to be taking down several of them that have adult content. And I think it should be, blog. It's not like when you buy a website and you buy hosting, you can do whatever you want with it. Blogger is something that's a very big part of Google's enterprise, and a lot of the stuff they give away to a lot of educational communities and all that type of stuff. So I think it's definitely important for them to do that. But there were some concerns that Google did reply to regarding that, saying, what about nudity and artistic pictures and stuff like that, and educational documentation, scientific content? Google said they're not going to touch that kind of stuff, but anything with obviously pornography or anything like that will be taken down, which I think, like I said, is very important, considering that Google, like I said, Blogger is a very large part of their platform, and a lot of younger kids do use it. So that was news from them on their blog site that they actually have on Blogger. So one of the things too that speaking of Google, while we're on the Google topic, Google actually now going to be converting Flash ads to HTML5. That was on Slashdot as well this week. It doesn't actually surprise me, to tell you the truth. Google's been pushing very, very hard to actually go ahead and get all the HTML5, use HTML5 exclusively. They've been slowly getting all the YouTube videos and all that over to HTML5. So this actually doesn't surprise me. Apparently, Google Display Network will now actually support those devices. Back in September is when they started it. There was a trial. Now apparently Google Display Ads and DoubleClick campaign networks will create HTML5 versions of all Flash ads, and Google will automatically convert eligible Flash ads to HTML5. So that was on Slashdot as well. And of course, let's not forget about Google, obviously, as well. I feel like this is our Google segment. Google as well, also teaming up with 3 wireless carriers to combat Apple Pay. And this really, to me, isn't news. Google's had, their own type of Apple Pay. They've had Google Wallet for a long time. It just never really took off. I think Apple has the name recognition and the power of a name that's able to really get it to take off, but it hasn't. And now that people are really going to start clinching onto it because of Apple, I think now Google's going to try to capitalize and push theirs a little bit. So, I'm sure that's coming up very shortly as well. So speaking of Apple, by the way, a jury telling Apple to pay out, I think $532 million is it, for a patent lawsuit. I try not to mention too many patent cases, but I found this one kind of interesting. because it was over the DRM technology relating to storage of downloading song, game, and other videos through iTunes by a company called Smart Flash LLC. A lot of people are saying that the company's a patent troll, but apparently they do own the patent on that. The trial happened in the same court that decided Apple owed Vermex $368 million over the FaceTime-related patent back in 2012. So Apple's always going to struggle with these patents, but at least now they've actually went ahead and they've got they got it. They're going through with it, and just like Microsoft struggled with this, and Apple's going to struggle. Anytime you're the big dog in the fight, everybody always seems to go after you for the patents. So, some other news as well. There's a big fiber line cut in northern Arizona area, which caused huge outages for a lot of phone companies and for a lot of cable companies. A lot of people were out phone and cable for a while because there's a big fiber cut. It looked like it was vandalism. That was in the news this week as well. That was huge news, actually. It was actually breaking news, actually. So some not old news, but a little bit older news. We all know that no longer will the FCC be issuing paper licenses. It's all going to be digital now. That was in the news as well. I kind of figured that was going to happen eventually. Things eventually have to go paperless. So, but yeah, that was in the news as well. So some more news. Let's talk about Reddit for a minute. Reddit apparently now you have to any type of without their consent, you won't be able to. As of March, the site is imposing a ban on content that has explicit nature. That a subject has to be given permission to post. They're trying to clean up the site. Apparently, Reddit's got a new CEO, and they're trying to clean up the site. And this goes along. And they said part of the reason why they're doing this is because Google is cleaning up Blogger. So I guess that they are trying to. They're trying to go ahead and clean it up as well. This also comes in the wake of last year's. Vaporing, which saw a bunch of photos leaked. Remember, we all saw the big leak from iPhone. Remember the iTunes store, and as well too as Moot. They got hit pretty hard too, as well as some other ones. So they're trying to clean up the content, which they should. I think as part of anybody that's a responsible .com owner also has to maintain the .com as well. I agree with that. So there's another interesting article which I thought was it's interesting to a certain degree. Was the 3 million strong Ramit botnet takedown? National Crime Agency took down a huge botnet over in Germany. That was basically what this was they were trying to pretty much come up with another kind of Bitcoin. And they were infecting people's machine and actually trying to make bitcoins from it. That was what they were kind of doing with this. Lenovo obviously had their website hacked. That was in the news this week. This comes right off of. Remember, they were having an issue. We talked about this last week, where they were struggling with some software that was on their machines that they had to go ahead and were being told to, take off. So that was that was also as well. Lenovo's been hot in the news the last couple of weeks. And by the way, too, Inspector Gadget, by the way, getting a reboot on Netflix. They're going to apparently digitally enhance it and do some things with that. That was in the news as far as Netflix goes. And some other news with Radio Shack as well. The Radio Shack just seems to be hanging on here. I'm not sure how they're doing it, but they just seem to be hanging on. Our friends over at Radio Shack. The Radio Shack name is up for sale with bids starting at $20 million, and apparently people want to buy the Radio Shack name. And general plans, were to shut down the store and sell it, close half of the stores and all that, and co-brand the store with Sprint. They haven't outlined what the plan is yet, but apparently people have wanted to bid on the name Radio Shack. There's a lot going on there as well relating to. Obviously, Radio Shack and what they're going to do there. I'm curious to see how Radio Shack actually pulls out at the end, what they're actually going to do, because they've been really struggling and they're still struggling right now. And I'd be interested to see what they're actually going to try to do as far as survival. I do think eventually that the brand is just going to have to go under, but it's really a shame. But they're still hanging on. So the next, I guess the last and final segment, obviously, of our show is always your questions, my answers. We've been doing this since day one, so if you want to send me if you want to go ahead and send me a question, it's at always thepantytech@gmail, or you can go on our website, thetechnologygeek.org. You can use the Ask Me a Question link, and there's all the information with how to ask me that question. So I guess some really interesting questions this week. You guys always have very, very good questions, but this week we had a couple of very interesting ones. Somebody had asked me, how do I record a radio clips? Well, I actually like listening to Coast to Coast AM, and I don't want to spend the $6-7 a month to subscribe to them. So what I actually use, I use dar.fm. It lets you record any radio show online. They're a really, really good one. There's also another one called, this is like a subscription-based radio product. It's called Replay Radio. It runs on your, damn, there's another Bing. See, I'm getting a lot of retweets right now, so people are bing, bing, bing my phone. I thought I silenced it. I guess I didn't. But they're a really good one. I know a friend of mine uses it. It works. There's an app for it. It also runs on your Windows and on the Windows platform, the Mac platform. Works on all different platforms. So, but they're a good one as well. But I really like dar.fm because it's free. But that's just, me. So another question somebody had was, I'm having trouble with Slackware Linux. Anything you can recommend? Well, if you're running Slackware as a server, I mean Linux is Linux on a server. But as far as the desktop goes, I always go back to Ubuntu, and the reason why I always go back to Ubuntu is because they actually have like the market on desktop Linux. Red Hat had the market for a while, but Ubuntu really does now. But so that's something. And as well, along with that, Slackware Linux doesn't have the app support that, say, an Ubuntu or even a CentOS or a Fedora would have for the desktop. So I like Slackware Linux, I really do. The only problem is you may run into issues with simple stuff like Skype and stuff like that, because Spotify, all those stuff have Linux applications for, especially now with Ubuntu coming out with a phone, they're going to have even more support. But so that's something you may have to deal with, unfortunately. But I like Slackware, I always did. But I really think that if you're going to be running any type of mainstream, if you're going to say, hey, I'm going to replace my Windows machine with a Linux desktop, you're going to have to really have no choice but to go with Ubuntu or Fedora or one of those, really Ubuntu, because they really have the market on the desktop. But I mean, if you're going to be running a server, hell, Slackware is great. I love it. So the next question I got is, can I load Android programs on my PC? Well, there's a couple different ways you can do this, by the way. The first thing we'll talk about, if you want, say you want to develop, and I've gotten this question before, say you're somebody who wants to develop an app for the Android, you can actually download the Android OS and run it in a VM. And this way, if you corrupt the VM, you just roll it back to an old snapshot. That's an option, but there are also some other options as well. They do have an emulator for Android programs for PC. It really depends on what you want to do, but yeah, it is very possible actually to actually run an Android program on a PC. Really depends on what you want to do with it. I myself have actually written some apps, and what I did, I actually ran it virtually inside a VM and programmed it this way. If I crash it, doesn't matter. It's a VM. I just roll back to an old snapshot. But there are other options as well. There are emulators. There are all that kind of stuff for the PC. So I got the question from somebody. They know I'm really into the audio stuff. They actually wrote me an email. They said, what do you think is better for listening, earbuds or over-the-head headphones? I gotta tell you, I like them both. That's the problem. I can't say yes or no. One's better, one's not. Beats, it's like even the Beats has the earbuds and also the ones over the head. Some people say, it sounds better over the head. Some people say it sounds better with the earbuds. The earbuds you get with your iPhone are quality, but they're not nearly as quality as, say, a Beats audio headphone or a Soul Republic headphone, but they're still good quality headphones. Now, Soul Republic makes earbuds as well, and they also make over-the-head ones. And they both test the same on the reviews I read when I got this question. So, is one better than the other? I don't really know. They both test the same, so I would imagine they are the same. I think as long as the sound quality coming out of both of them are the same, I think it really comes down to what you prefer to wear in your ears. Somebody asked me, how can I improve Skype for podcasting? And that's something. This isn't the first time we've gotten this question. When it comes to Skype, I know, for instance, like Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast, he's always talking about how he uses Skype all the time for his. I know Anthony Cumia uses Skype for his podcast as well, but I don't like using Skype, and I know Leo Laporte and a lot of those guys use it. I personally don't like it. I find that the audio gets glitchy. I find that sometimes the quality of the audio isn't the best. I really like Google Hangouts because the sound quality is there that I don't think is there with Skype. Skype a lot of times makes a lot of clicking noises. If you actually watch Leo Laporte's podcast, sometimes he'll tell people to disconnect and reconnect about clicking noise. Stone Cold Steve Austin on his podcast, he's complained about the noise on Skype. And plus too, it's kind of cumbersome too, because you have to, if you're doing it all on one machine, you have to have an app that'll let you record two audio streams. So that's a point of failure there. And also too, Skype tends to have a tendency to disconnect a lot. Don't know why. And I just think that overall, I just think Google Hangouts is much better. Now, if you are trying to improve your audio quality for your podcast, and you're doing a lot of interviews, what I strongly recommend, and if you listen to the Grolix podcast that I did with them, I actually made the mistake myself, and I didn't realize I was doing it until a little bit into the show. What you want to do is, if you are doing an interview with somebody over Skype or over Google Hangouts or anything, they need to wear headphones, and so do you. So this way you're not echoing. That's a very common mistake that a lot of podcasters make. They don't realize it when they're doing interviews. They don't have people wear the headphones so you don't get the echo and don't get the feedback. That's a very, very important thing. And that might help your audio quality. That might be actually your whole problem. And you also, too, as well, if you are struggling with audio quality during Skype podcasts, obviously make sure the person's using maybe not a quality microphone, but something, make sure they're not right on top of the microphone like I am right now. That could be an issue. Make sure they sit back about 6 inches, 7 inches from the mic. And also, too, what kind of microphone are they using? Where they're plugging it in? Do they have it hooked up right? Are they going through a mixing board? Try to make the podcast as, I don't want to say as simple as possible. Try to keep your technical stuff down to a minimum. So, especially on their end, they're not tech-savvy people. It'll just make your podcast quality, your podcast audio, and just your whole situation just go much better. So I think that's pretty much it for the questions. I think that's pretty much it. So I want to thank everybody for listening, and again, I just want to encourage everybody, if they could, really think about joining the member support. That $10. Just on the couple sponsors you get alone, it'll be worth its weight in gold. And this way too, you'll go ahead and you get that $10 back in only a few purchases. So I want to thank everybody for listening, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much.